You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
You're tuned in to Night Vision Radio, exposing the truth one secret at a time. Prepare yourself as we explore the shadow worlds of suppressed history, secret knowledge, forbidden religion, and shine a light on the conspiracies to keep it all from us. Welcome to Night Vision Radio. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight on this edition of Night Vision Radio. Got a couple of just quick little housekeeping items here I'd like to go over. I'd like to invite you to go to my Facebook page. That is René Barnett, and you'll see my picture up there. I think there's a couple of René Barnetts, but I'm the one in Los Angeles, and I do mention on the page Night Vision Radio. And also, send me a friend request. I would love to hear from you. And also, I wanted to invite you to, if you do connect with me there or via email, at renekbarnett@gmail.com. I'd love to hear your guest suggestions or ideas for subject matter that you'd like to hear on this show. Anything that's within our scope here at Night Vision, we'd be happy to cover for you. I love to get audience feedback, and so I'd like to hear from all you guys. Also, if you wouldn't mind, it'd be really, really great, and I'd really appreciate it if you would go to the Night Vision Radio Facebook page and click on like. That would be very, very helpful, and we'd appreciate it. And we post little articles there, and also, of course, information on upcoming shows on Night Vision and right here at InceptionRadioNetwork.com. So, without further ado, I want to talk about the show tonight. I don't know if you were listening last week, but if you were, we had the good Reverend Michael Carter on, and he was talking about his ET experiences, which he viewed as very favorable and very positive. And I guess he would have what us in the sort of UFO milieu term a contactee experience, as opposed to the traditional alien abduction story. Now, so last week we heard about the positive aspects of his experiences and his personal story. But tonight we're going to flip the script just a bit, because I did hear from people that say, I've had my AT experiences and they weren't at all, I didn't feel like they were positive at all. They were scary. Sometimes they were painful. Sometimes they were, psychologically disturbing. And so I thought, for those people out there that are having those types of experiences, we ought to explore that side of things too. And so I was looking for a person who had a lot of those types of alien abduction experiences. And I called up my good friend Yvonne Smith, who is the director of CERO, Close Encounter Research Organization, and asked her if she could recommend someone. And she said, by all means, and she recommended my guest tonight. And I want to tell you a little bit about my guest. She's a forensic counselor. She's really a Renaissance woman, is what I would call her, because she's a forensic counselor. She is a substance abuse counselor. She's an artist. She's a writer, and she's a psychic. And of course, I can't leave out a lifelong alien abductee. So tonight I'd like to welcome Charlene McCain to the show. Excuse me, I don't want to mispronounce your name. I already almost mispronounced your first name earlier today on the phone. Charlene McCain.
Hi,
Thank you so
René.
much. Oh, I left out one thing. Radio
What?
host. Radio host. That
Oh,
was another
yeah.
one of your hats that you wear. And you host a radio show on this same sort of general subject matter called The Paranormal and the Sacred. And
Yes.
anyway, Charlene, gosh, you've got so much, and I really appreciate you sending me your story because there's so much there that I kind of like to just dive right in, if you don't mind. You said that your experiences, as far as you can recall or remember, began when you were 4 years old, right out here in Southern California.
That's right, in the valley.
Yeah.
I was I'm the oldest of 5 sisters, actually, and that's when it began. I was about 4, and I already had, like, night terrors and things like that. And I was kind of a worried little kid, and I had a lot of responsibility. I took care of the whole family, including my sisters, and I was the oldest, and I took my job pretty seriously. But I also like to have fun, so I was all over the place, and I was a little of an investigator, and I also did a lot of running through. I lived in Pacoima Pierce Projects, and I guess it's probably the worst part of the valley. I don't know if anybody knows where that is, but
I know where Pacoima is. It's actually not that terribly far from me, but Pacoima, I think maybe at least 20 years ago was probably a lot rougher than it is right now. I think Pacoima has actually come a little bit up in the world, and it's not nearly as scary a place as it used to be. But I remember a time when there was a lot of gang activity going on over there, and a lot of violence, domestic violence, and things like that, which I know that you witnessed a lot of that just looking out the window of the house there. And then you had some issues with those kinds of domestic violence and some alcohol abuse in your home, which is the reason why you sort of ended up having to take responsibility for your younger siblings.
That's it. That's true.
Yeah.
I did, and I loved them. I remember loving them so much. I remember when my first sister was born, and at that time, she's only a year and a couple months younger than me. But I do remember when she was born and how much I loved her. So I actually took them all under my wing immediately, even though I was, we're only a year apart, basically.
Yeah,
but
I
loved them with all my heart. Yeah, like a little mother hen, and I really loved them so much. So I was always on the lookout. There was always so much danger, especially in the projects. There was a lot of things going on. And every kind of thing you can imagine. It's all like a little tiny world there. And it was not safe, especially for a kid like me, but you just have to learn how to stay out of the way, and you never walk straight across anywhere. You always kind of walk around the buildings and look first before you go.
You had all this stuff going on just in your everyday life, a lot of responsibility, and I would imagine some trauma if there was some violence going on around you. And then on top of this, you started being aware of having these experiences, which I think you said began as you would be levitated and taken up a tunnel, a metal tunnel, into a round.
I perceived it as a metal tunnel, and I would be sucked straight up off my bed, sucked straight up this metal tunnel. I thought it was a grade tunnel. I never hit the sides or anything, but to me it looked metal. And then into a round metal room. It had no furniture except for some kind of console in the middle of it. But then there was it was circular, and around the whole room was like a ledge where you could sit. It was just like a ledge, though. It wasn't a furniture or anything.
Like a bench, like a bench that went
sort
around
of like
the wall.
A bench, but it came right out of the wall, and maybe like molded.
Right.
Yeah, and that's where it was. And they looked to me like dome-shaped trash cans.
Yes.
set silver with big black eyes and just a little tiny slit for a mouth. And they're about my height, but I found them extremely horrifying.
Now,
So
you're
when I
saying
would
that the beings themselves seem to be made of metal?
I thought they were made of metal. I thought everything was made out of the same thing, but they look like gray steel metal to me. But that's as a child, that's what I thought.
Do you think that that was them, or do you think that they were wearing some sort of protective gear?
You know, I don't know. I knew that they were the same size as same height, but they were round, kind of barely figured. You know, I can't even remember arms and legs. The legs and arms were so thin, but it kind of looked like a bullet to me. You know, they were shaped like that. But then I'd go immediately crazy in terror. And, you know, so after that, they would try to hold me down. So I have, like, a lot of weird phobias, claustrophobia, I can't stand to be held down, you know, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
they have the same kind of thing.
Now, when you were levitated into this room, and I know, you know, it was terrifying because, you know, obviously you're probably trying to figure out what the heck's going on and what are these creatures, or, you know, they seem to be beings. But what did they do then? I know there was a point where you would just pass out, but what would be like what you could remember before passing out?
You know, I was thinking about that as I was thinking about the show, and I remember something that's so desperate. I remember laying there and thinking, this is so painful that I think, you know, I want to leave my body. I remember thinking that, and it was really disturbing to remember this, that whatever was happening was extremely painful to me. Plus, I couldn't stand them, and plus, it was against my will. I was struggling all the time, you know, until, you know, for my whole life, just fighting. I feel like they're kidnappers. They come in the night, or sometimes in the day, and they just take you and they do what you want. You don't have any power over them, and I don't think that's right. That's why I don't have, like, a peace-love feeling about them. I feel like they are... They can alter what you feel, what you think. You know, you may think you're looking at one thing, but you're actually looking at something else. And you know, I've had many abductions with other people. You know, so I'm not the only one, and we're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, and that's what's really interesting is, you know, because, you know, you could say, oh, it was a hallucination, it was a dream, it was this, it was that.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone else is able to corroborate things independently, then obviously it was a real experience. And I know
Exactly.
you had some experiences. I know there was an experience where you saw your father on the craft, and then
that hurt because, okay, this is why that hurt. It's because, you know, I was there and I was being abducted and bad things were happening to me. I don't remember things happening to my sisters, and they've never talked to me about that. We have had problems with our clothes being inside out and coming back with no clothes and stuff like that. We do know that. So we thought we were being molested for a long time. Because we would talk about it and think, what happened to us? You know, why do we come back going the opposite sleep direction that we were in, clothes inside out? You know, we had problems, so we thought we were being abducted in other ways, you know, so we were confused. But one time I was there and I turned around because, you know, I had an immediate fight or flight. When they took me up there into this round ship, immediately I run around. So I was quite irrational most of the time. But I turned around and there was my dad sitting on the ledge. And I couldn't remember what he was wearing, and he had his head down. He had his, you know, like a look of being extremely upset and not wanting to look around. And I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, if I had my father, what chance do I have? Because to me, my dad was the lion. You know, he was everything. And the king. And then look at him sitting there. He looked very frightened. I couldn't see his face, but the way he was covering his face, and he had his hand in his hair, he was scared.
I know. I think we know when we're children, a lot of times, our dad seems larger than life and like he could do
Yeah.
anything and take care of any situation and protect us in any way. And then when you see your dad in a really vulnerable
Yes.
stance, it's like that is scary because you're thinking, oh
It
my
was a
gosh,
blow to me.
if he's scared, then I should be terrified.
Yes, that's exactly what I felt.
Yeah. Now, when you said that, you would become so frightened that you would either pass out or maybe sort of almost dissociate because you
Yeah.
said you want to just get out of there. And you said that you would remember that you started to feel some pain. Do you remember
Right.
where that pain on your body was and what you think it might have been coming from?
Well, it was along the lines of I have a very hard time with it, so I don't have I can't tell you what objects they had or what they were doing, but they were doing things to me biologically and physically, and they always had done that to me. But I don't see. I've only seen an instrument as an adult. When I thought I saw a long, it's like a pointer. It was a black pointer, but what it was a zapper. Like it could zap you with a point of this thing. It was really sharp. But that's as an adult. As a kid, I couldn't stand looking at it.
Yeah. Now, I've got the people in the chat room, asking questions. This one, I got a couple, but I got one from Neutron in the chat room, and
Mm-hmm.
he says, do you ever remember seeing your body from above during the abduction experience, like, an out of body experience?
Okay, that's a good question. No, but I know people that have. But I have had, now on the mystical side of things, I've had many religious experiences since I was a kid too. So I would have, even as recent as a month ago, out of body experience, where more like I've even had life after death experience. Let's put it that way. So I have done that, but that was more religious experiences or experience I can understand. I've happened many times.
Do you think there could have been a connection with all these experiences?
I don't put a connection. I know I don't put it. I know I don't. Renee, I really don't understand that part of it because I don't put them together. I put them like in spite of. You know what I mean? In spite of
like they're
the bad
completely
things
separate.
happening. No, I don't think they can't be separate because they're after different people for a reason. And I think some people have psychic. I have like a natural psychic gift, and part of it is like remote viewing, and I actually can go places where people need me. I can go and be there. People have seen me there. It doesn't matter how far they're away they are. I can still help. It's just some very strange things have happened.
Now, I was thinking about that earlier today too, because I know you do have that background in those abilities. And I was also wondering if that has something to do with your connection to the ETs.
Okay, you know what I think that this is what I think they want, and they had. My mother saw some UFOs flying in formation. She was in upstate New York in a park, so she would be in Poughkeepsie in a park, and she said, between 10 and 15, maybe white jet, but they were UFOs. She saw them flying in formation. And of course, I was born, when they were going. Oh, I was born July 13, 52, when they were actually flying over the White House by then. And so it's kind of strange that I've always been aware of this stuff around, So there's a lot of coincidences, that are even cropping up to this day about this whole thing. But I think, for me, they are taking DNA. I've been pregnant. This is what I feel, okay? So I know I've been pregnant many times, and then the pregnancy disappears, and stuff like that. And that happened, and me and another man, Jesse Long, we've discussed it, that we had many babies. I call it babies in space. So it's like it could be a
I know Jesse Long.
Yeah, Jesse Long. So
oh my goodness.
we have discussed this because for many, many, many years, I'm telling you, me until recently, I was mourning my babies. Whatever children they took or eggs they took, they show me the kids once in a while, so I know I have many of the many. Jesse says, I think 35, he has 35. I have probably 250. It sounds so outlandish. I know everybody outlandish it sounds, but that's what my calculation is. And me and somebody else figured out, like if a woman's in her birthing stage, I could easily be pregnant that many times in my lifetime.
Right. Or are you really pregnant, or do they just take the egg?
Pregnant.
Interesting. Now, there was something, I don't want to miss this question. Bill in New York says, have you ever had hypnotic regression therapy? Did you see it?
I tried, but I just used it for relaxation because I appear not to be suggestible. I don't know what that means, but I don't go under. So,
interesting.
I want to. I show up. I've done it, and I don't do it. I'm not gonna pretend something is not. I've had because there's many great people out there, and I think that it really, really works. For me, I don't do it. It doesn't do anything, and I'm not blocking. I feel very comfortable. I'm just not I'm not regressed anywhere. So I think I'm going to try again. I really think people should. I think really people should do it. They should go to therapy and regression. What I did was this is how I met Yvonne Smith of Ciro International. Is that me and my best friend, who now is she works on satellites and is trained by NASA. It's odd how we ended up, you know what I mean? Because we've been friends for 40 years almost. But we were actually going down the freeway at 405 towards Long Beach. And I don't know if you know that area. And we saw a UFO. We saw a UFO. And then after we saw it, we realized we'd been having abductions the whole time because we blamed it on tequila. We did, because we were out partying, in the 80s, 70s and 80s. We had platform shoes and big hair. We'd go out partying, but there was always something odd would happen to us. Either psychic phenomena, haunted house, just strange, odd things. You know what I mean? Were happening all the time, but we always said, well, we're talking about truth. But after we saw the UFO, we realized that we had been abducted together the whole time. And that was the strange thing that was happening.
Yeah. Now, when we've got a lot of interest from the chat room and listeners about these babies. Great, about the babies, and they were wondering whether or not you've ever been shown these babies or had any interaction with the babies.
Yes. Yes, I have, and I've been shown many of them, but some stick out in my mind. That you got to realize that these beings or whatever they are pretty phenomenal at doing, getting you to do what they want you to do and stuff like that. Meaning, people will say, "I saw a gray," or "I saw a Nordic," or "I saw," and I don't kind of agree with it because to me, I saw a baby with blonde hair and blue eyes. It was my baby. It didn't look odd to me. It looked like a little boy. So, but they would bring me to the little boy or vice versa. And I can remember one time he had his books with him, and they said he was having a hard time adjusting to them. And so I was with him, and I was sitting with him, and we were talking, And he was a very good person, and I could tell that he was really intelligent, and he really wanted to do his best efforts for them, they were raising him, and he wanted to do the best he could. It's not like he wanted to come back with me. He just wanted to be a better whoever he was, and he was going to do that, but he was having a hard time relating to them. So they don't have very many emotions. That's it. They're very intellectual and also telepathic. Let's put it that way.
Now, you said when you saw one of these children that had been presented to you as yours, did you say that it looked just like a little boy? A
little blonde towhead boy, very good looking, very handsome. And I saw one, like I've seen a lot of babies, and one time though it was a baby that looked almost like a rubber dolly. Remember the rubber dollies, the rubbery ones?
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was kind of worried. And the eyes were a little bit big, but not like they're portrayed. There was a little bit bigger eyes. But I went up to it. They handed them out to me. And I put my hands on this baby, and this baby was afraid of me. And it twisted away. Can you imagine a little infant with muscles and strong and twisting away from you? It freaked me out. I mean, it still gives me the willies to this day. So, I had a horrified reaction, but, then something happened recently. They took me to this house. So what's so odd is that I have a house that I live in another house, okay? Me and my best friends just started discussing that when they come to see me, when my best friend comes to see me, I'm at a different house. So I think that we're being brought to another house, and I recognize it as my house, and so does she. So it's weird, but they had one of my sons there, and he was tall, thin, with dark hair. And I looked at him, and I just rejected him. I was saying, what does he need me for? And I forgot. I thought they were done with me, because I'm older now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't have babies anymore. I thought they were done with me, so I kind of, when I'm having these experiences, I compartmentalize it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
sure.
I'm thinking, what do you need me for? I felt so bad when I woke up because of the look on his face. Because I knew the kid was mine, even though he's really tall, dark, thick hair. I knew he was mine, but I thought, what do you need me for? You're already grown up. He was about 24. I felt regret when I woke up, so I'm going to not do that anymore.
Now,
because this is like living two different lives. It's very odd to me.
That's really, really strange. We're going to have to go to break in just a quick minute here. And when we come back, I'd like to find out if you know how this impregnation process went. And, it seems like you said you had a little towhead boy, and then you have a dark-haired son. So it sounds to me like, they maybe were from different alien fathers, if that's the case. But we'll talk about that when
I'm baby mama.
Yeah, you're the baby mama. So we're going to talk about the baby mama when we get back from this break. So I hope everybody will stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hey IRN listeners, make sure you tune in to NightVision Radio with René Barnett. René will be exposing the truth one secret at a time. When? Thursdays. Every Thursday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Where? Right here on IRN.
Hi, I'm John Payne, vocalist for the band Asia FJP and creator of Las Vegas's Raiding the Rock Vault. You know, music provides the very soundtracks of our lives and has the power to impassion and inspire us like nothing else. My friends at returnofthetroubadour.com understand that as well, and that's why they're sponsoring a contest in search of a very special song, a song that uplifts the heart and inspires the soul. I'm very pleased to be sitting on the panel of distinguished contest judges, and by the way, prizes are quite nice too. So if you're a songwriter, don't delay. Go to returnofthetroubadour.com for all the contest details and deadlines, and send us your song. It could just be that special one. That's returnofthetroubadour.com, where they know music can change the world.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
All right, we're back. Thanks for joining us tonight. If you've missed the first portion of the show, we're talking with Charlene McCain about her alien abduction experiences, which she has been having throughout her life, about reproducing alien babies, or I guess they would be hybrid children. She says many, and she suspects up to even 250 that she might have out there in outer space. And Char, I was asking you before the break, or I brought up before the break, that these children didn't all seem to look exactly alike. A lot of times when you see pictures of ETs or even ET babies, it seems like they're all sort of cookie cutter, like they all look exactly alike. But you clearly had, some different looking children, which makes me think maybe there was different dads. Now, did you, and we were also talking about, the pregnancies, and were you really pregnant, or were they just harvesting eggs from you? And you said, no, I was pregnant. So do you remember anything about the process, and did it happen in a natural way, or was it like an artificial insemination?
I think, 2-3 ways probably. And they probably did harvest eggs, and sometimes there was sex involved. And I really don't like the awareness now that I have that I'm baby mama. I just really fed up with it all right. Anyway, it's a shock to me, but it's true. They pick people for a certain reason. And sometimes they have like I just don't want my children. I have grown children and also almost grown grandchildren, but, there is a sexual component sometimes.
Well, it's
'cause
interesting
they'll
because
show you images. Go ahead.
I was going to say it was interesting that you should say that because also in the chat room, I didn't even read the question before I just asked you what I just asked you, but Analog in the chat room was also asking that question about the process and said, if you'll pardon the question, do you ever remember anything pleasurable about it?
Yes. Well, since they're doing it many different ways, and once in a while, I guess they want to do it naturally, but it would be what I would perceive a human, and that's what the dream, I would be in a dream, and I would perceive them as human, but something happened with me and a couple members of Zero that we started having very intense erotic dreams. And I finally got so fed up with this whole, because they kept throwing different scenarios at me and us, because there was three of us having it at the same time, so we were talking about it. And some of it wasn't my cup of tea, and I would say that. I would say that even during the dream. I said, this isn't my preference. So I'm saying to you now, no. And then they would kind of go into shock and stop whatever they're doing. And then it would be very erotic and stuff like that. But I actually had to ask God to intervene, and that's what I did. I started saying my prayers and asked for the Blessed Mother to help and stop it, and it did stop. Because I felt like I was being dragged somewhere I didn't want to go because the scenarios weren't right. They weren't nice. I didn't like it.
Now, you said they looked like men. Like human men to you. Do you feel like that was sort of like just a screen image?
Yeah, I knew it was a screen even at the time because they would smell funny. They would smell like at times how to describe, you ever been at a bus station where a lot of buses are taking off and they have all that exhaust smell? Like that and wet cardboard, and that's what kind of cued me to this isn't what I really think it is. So it's like you're always in a state of just real or Memorex, and so I have, sleep disorders since childhood because of this. I am diligent, and I don't like it because I never sleep more than 2 hours in a row, and that's really hard on me to this day because there's still stuff going on, but for different reasons, I guess.
Yeah. Now, so did you ever see what these guys actually looked like that, ultimately became the fathers of your children?
Okay, so this I can now say that I've seen what they look like, but I've seen many different beings. At one time, I thought I was looking at Gandhi one time. So Gandhi was like a skinny little guy, right? And a little brown guy.
Yeah.
It looked like he was made out of leather. And I remember staring at him, and he was coming towards me, so that's when I panicked because they walk funny. There's something about their mannerisms that are so odd to me that it crawls into the back of your mind. It's almost like watching a spider. All of a sudden you're looking at something, then all of a sudden you kind of flip. And I do a lot of panicking because what I'm seeing, but I have that psychic sense where I know what I'm looking at is not what's really there. There's something else walking towards me, and my instincts know that. So I've seen something that looks like Gandhi. I've seen something that looks like ants, but they're 3 or 4 feet tall. And I've seen something that looks like a plain ant and a soldier ant, very orange, tall. Soldier looking at, they have the big heads and the how they, I don't know if people remember soldier ants, or red, shiny, ceramic looking. And I do know they don't really look like that, but I see them looking at like hummingbirds. I've seen 4 or 5 foot tall hummingbirds, like with green feathers and big dark eyes, but they look like hummingbirds, but they have arms. It's like everything is like coke because I don't find, I guess I can't bear their image. I can't stand them.
Now, do you think there's any possibility that the babies or children or young adults, which you perceive to be your child, that you were seeing, do you think that you were seeing the way they really looked?
That's
Or were they presented to you in a
I can't go
way
there
that
in my
you...
brain. I'm trying to think of it. Like, I think they look pretty normal to me, but I don't think I could tolerate anything else, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering if they, presented them to you in a way that you could handle.
Yeah. Because I guess it's easier to handle a 4-foot ant, even though, like that one commercial for whatever the insect spray is, and they have that ant knocking at the door.
Oh,
They have done that to me. They've knocked at my door. 2 ants knocked at my door, and I opened the door, and they were standing there, and they were so obviously in a costume, I let them in. But then I saw something else out of the corner of my eye, and I got freaked out because there was something else going on in the room. See what I'm saying? Everything is like so it's just so odd that it's even hard to express. That's why this whole thing is, I have to compartmentalize it. I don't, live this whole story. I just have to say, okay, this happens over here, and then I have a regular life, because how could you go on with your life, really? If I have to say, I'm being abducted all the time, I have all these children in space, and how do you live with it? So you can't really, I don't, somehow I've been able to save myself, and my spirituality has saved me, too.
Yeah, I would imagine, it would be tough to sort of reconcile in your brain and emotionally if you had all this stuff going on, and then you're expected to, get up in the morning and go to work and do your job and all that. Bill is asking in the chat room if the children, if had a more rapid development or like unusual aging.
It does seem to be, and now I can't tell you because I'm not, standing watching it, but it seems that they do develop from embryo to baby pretty fast. But then I've had this so many years that when the kids are growing up, I've seen at various ages,
Right.
So they're developing, but I can't say if they're developing
more quickly.
No, I can't, but I have a sense that when there was a lot of babies at one time, then they were developing at different times. It seems like I've seen a bunch of babies at once. I seem to think they're in tanks or something, but I can't be sure of that one.
Oh, interesting. Now, Sky has a couple questions, actually. Number one, what is your blood type?
I have to find that out because I don't know, and I'm getting an awful lot of blood work, so I'm going to have to ask one of my doctors that, I just found out that I have a very... Go ahead.
I was going to say, and I don't know if that's because, because I really don't know about this, whether it seems like people with a certain blood type have more of these types of experiences. I don't know.
So in a room of, let's say, because I go to Zero, and I've been to that group since it began.
And that's the Close Encounter Research Organization.
Yes.
Yep.
And we asked, and we said, well, out of this room, how many people are O negative or whatever the rare blood type is? And 3/4 of the people raised their hand.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know. Then I found out, guess what? So is my best friend. She never told me that.
Huh.
I just found this out last year. And she has a rare blood type the whole time. And I don't know what mine is. I'm shocked that I just got diagnosed with a very odd condition, a thyroid condition. And next Friday, I'm going to the endocrine doctor about it. But it's a rare condition that it's called primary parahyperthyroidism, something like that. But what it is, it's a very painful disorder because it takes calcium out of your blood and out of your bones and puts it in your blood. So it's a very excruciating thing, and I've had it a very long time. But I thought I had arthritis or something like this condition. But then I was looking it up, and people that exposed to radiation in Chernobyl had this disease. I was thinking how odd, and I did relate that back to being exposed to these beings a lifelong.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell my doctor that.
Wow, that's really wild. Now, when you were in the presence of these beings, whether it's your children or the others that were around, Sky was wondering whether they communicate with you telepathically. How did they communicate with you, or did they?
All of them do communicate telepathically. So it would be just so natural and immediate that it's like I guess that is telepathy. That I've never heard their voices or heard them talking. I just know what they want and what they're doing. They're sort of talking to you, but not with. I don't remember a voice.
So it's really just a like a thought that comes into your head. It's not like you hear a voice in your head.
No, it's like a picture, but I never really thought about that. But no, I haven't heard any kind of voice. That would probably freak me out.
Hmm. Yeah, I would wonder what it would sound like if you did.
I had a dream. My dog, I had a dog named Bella. She passed away after 19 years. But I had a dog. I had a dream about her that she ran up to me when I came home one time, and she said, "Hi, Char." She sounded just like Minnie Mouse.
Oh my God! Now that would be freaky.
So I don't want them talking to me. So my dog sounds like Minnie Mouse. So I don't know what to say about that. I guess you can only take as much as you can stand.
Yeah, I know that you've had these experiences, and a lot of times it seems like with you and with other people. These come during the nighttime when you're, asleep. Do you feel like, and this was a question from the chat room as well, that they do that because you're sort of more open at that time, or you're easier to control, or rather than coming?
I think they do it because they're sneaking around. That's why I don't appreciate what they're doing, because they always do it under dark, and it's like being molested or yanked out of your house or kidnapped, or it's a lot of cloaking. I don't remember signing up for this. I know people say they signed on. I don't feel like I did sign on.
Yeah.
And I've also seen humans. I've seen military. I've been taken to underground military installations, and one time I was in a hospital underground one time, and I saw a doctor there, and he was looking right at me, and I know he was talking to aliens and people behind me, but I was in a hospital bed, and I was trying to see his badge, and he saw me looking at his badge. He said, "She can see me." And I was madder than hell at that traitor, because that's what I felt. This guy's military, but they're traitors to treat, their fellow humans this way. And because of what? I just resented it. And he could see I was angry with him. He said, "Are you sure she can't move?" I could hear them talking about me over me. Because I was looking at him, I was enraged with this guy.
Oh, gosh. I can imagine. I had never thought about that aspect because there was, a lot of people do report that. There's some sort of military connection, and they remember being in a military setting around military people in uniform and that sort of thing. And I've heard people say that it was confusing and disturbing, but I didn't think of that angle on it. But it would be. It's like, hey, you're supposed to be helping me. You and I are on the same team, or we should be. But there was not only things going on in your abduction experiences, like some sort of military involvement and going into a craft and all that, but you had things happening in your daily life, like a lot of military copters buzzing your house and things like that. But the thing that sounded really weird to me was, I know you said that you had some woman dressed in black that came to your door, and that was a total waking experience, right?
Yes. I remember it was me and my son at home, and there was a knock at the door, and I opened the door, and there's this woman in black, and she had a black outfit on, like velvet, and her shoes were velvet, and she was perfect, and she had her hair parted down the middle and long red hair. And I remember looking, she was so perfect. I just was looking at her, and I noticed like one hair was out of place. That was it. And then I looked at her shoes, and I lived in like back. You had to go up some stairs, and you had to walk down a little kind of it's right down in Hermosa Beach, right down near the beach, and you could hear the ocean at night. So we're really close over there. And so she had to walk back, and you can't see my place from the front. You just can't see it because it's high and there's too many bushes. So I noticed she didn't have one grain of sand, no spot of leaf, nothing on her, and that's what I noticed immediately. And then she asked me, what did she say? She said, do you know so-and-so? She just said some off-the-wall name, but I knew she was lying. And I said, no. I said, how did you see this house? How did you get here? She said, oh, I was walking by. I said, yeah, but you can't see it from the street. She says, well, I kind of went the steps, and I said, well, what made you come back here? She says, well, it looked like a friendly little house. I went, oh, okay. And then she says, I need to ride to Santa Monica. Will you take me? And I knew that she was just trying to take me away from my house because the men in black were going to show up and go through everything at home. But I went out of curiosity.
You
so
actually
driving. I actually took her in the car.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know. It was just mesmerizing. And she looked like she stepped out of the 60s or 70s. Really, she didn't look like she was in this time or era. You know what I mean? She was really a human, but she looked just unusual, like she stepped out of somewhere else. And the shoes were those, they have a thick heel and rounded toes. You remember when those were, I don't know if you remember when those were in, and they were velvet. Yeah, that's what she was dressed in. And there was a long sleeve kind of dress, but she was all in black. And I can't remember, I used to remember her eyes. I don't remember those, but she wasn't normal. I knew it. And she wanted me away from the house. I knew that, but I just really curiosity that I couldn't stand. I actually took her to Santa Monica, and then we were driving along this wall, and she said, just drop me off here. And it was middle of nowhere. I mean, I really shouldn't even have stopped because it would be like taking her and drop her off on the freeway. It was really an odd corner. She said, well, I can walk for the rest of the way. And I said, well, I could take you right to the door. And she said, no. She said, just drop me off here, and that was it. I had to get out of there or crash.
What did she talk about on the way? How long was the drive?
I don't remember. It was from Hermosa to Santa Monica. It's pretty quick, 20 minutes,
oh, yeah.
25 minutes. It's pretty quick because I didn't take the freeway or anything.
Did you feel like that you were kind of like almost induced to go, or like they were kind of hypnotized, or
maybe because she put a suggestion like, gee, you're nice, which I am, you know what I mean, but there was some kind of a suggestion, but I went along with it because it was too mesmerizing not to go. I really wanted to see what she was up to, and I knew she was onto something. She may have known that I knew, but I wanted to get more information out of her, but she avoided anything that gave... It's like having a conversation with someone who never gives you one piece of information. Like you never really hear anything from them. They'll talk, but you're never going to understand. You can understand what they're saying, but it doesn't mean anything.
Did you get the impression that she was trying to elicit information from you?
No, they already knew. I knew she had people at my house going through everything, all my books and my tapes and videos, and looking at everything. I knew I could see them in my mind's eye what they were doing. So the men in black were actually at my house going through everything. I don't know what the purpose to that was, but it was interesting.
Well, when you got home, did you find anything out of place, or?
Yeah, you know what it was like? It was like weird, like you ever stepped someplace you knew people were just there and just gone? That's the way it felt when I was back. But I knew that they weren't going to do anything. I don't know why. But the reason why I got a hold of Yvonne is that I really thought I was going nuts because of all these weird experiences.
And you're talking
So
about Yvonne Smith at Ciro, who's a hypnotherapist that specializes in alien abduction experiences. Yeah.
So this is what happened is I actually thought I was going nuts, and I wanted help, and I wanted great help. So I wrote a letter to Harvard, and I told them what I was doing. But then we were really afraid of the military, because me and my best friend were talking about it. We were scared, So I remember letting the letter go into the mailbox and thinking, oh, my God, what have I done? And I was scared. But then I got a letter from Dr. Mack at Harvard. And
John
he
Mack.
said, I believe you. Yeah, John Mack, God rest his soul. Anyway, So he wrote me back. He turned me on to Yvonne, so that's where I've been going ever since. And I highly tell anybody that's going through this, get help and go to a group, wherever you are in the world. Find your like-minded people, because, the people that are drawn to like we're all drawing together to each other. I'm being more myself than I've ever had in my whole life. I'm having a really good time.
Oh, that's
besides
great.
Being sick with all this, but I'm having a very joyful life.
Yeah, if anyone is going through these types of experiences and would like to have some support or just camaraderie with other people going through the same thing who understand and maybe have managed to integrate it more into their lives and deal with it a little bit better, get a hold of me or get a hold of Shar, and we will put you in touch with the Ciro group here in Southern California. And then there are others around the country. So if you're feeling like you're having these experiences, you don't have to be alone in it. You can reach out to others and be happy to put you on track to some of these groups and people if you send me your information or maybe get hold of Shar. You can see Shar on Facebook, which you have a page for your radio show, which is called Paranormal and the Sacred. And
Paranormal and the Sacred.
Yep. And I think that, everybody should go on there, check it out, and see what Char's doing on her radio show. Now, oh my goodness, we're, believe it or not, it's break time again. And then we'll be down to the final half hour. We're going to try to get some more questions in from the chat room. I tell you, I think this is the most active with questions it has ever been. So people are really into this subject matter, and I hope I can scroll back and grab some of these questions while we're on the break, and so we don't miss them if we can help it. And if we do miss some, then we're just going to have you back on another time. So
that's right.
That's
and I welcome your questions because it's helping me process, because I'm a learning, growing person, and I really want to be asked these questions so I can also process what's happening to me, because it's all current also. So it's a big help. So I appreciate your questions. So thanks.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, it is helpful. It's great to know, what people are thinking out there, because sometimes, you can get some answers from what their questions are, and you see what their line of thinking is, and it takes you down a different track and might give you some answers. But I think it's that time again, and time to take a break, and we're going to be back in just a few minutes with Char McCain and her story about her lifelong alien abduction experiences and much, much more. We'll be right back.
Hello, everyone. Lorian Fenton here, host of the California MUFON radio show, asking if you'd like special access to exclusive and amazing information about UFOs, the paranormal, and all things unexplained. If you're nodding yes, then join IRN's Insider Club. As an Insider Club member, you'll get an all-access pass to premier Inception Radio Network content for only $4.99 a month. This includes live UFO and paranormal conferences, live streaming UFO skywatches, exclusive IRN radio and TV productions, and of course, paying radio with MJ and Ken Storch. So don't wait any longer. Visit InceptionRadioNetwork.com and click on Member Login to join IRN's Insider Club and get your VIP access today.
Do you have a smartphone? If so, Inception Radio Network is the best app for you. Available on iTunes, Android, Samsung, and most other app stores. Just search Inception Radio Network. With the app you can listen live, check out podcasts of recent and past shows, view our videos, see what shows are coming up, who the guests are, and, via the chat room, send live questions to those guests. You know it makes sense. Check your app store now. Inception Radio Network. I'll see you there.
Hey, IRN listeners, make sure you tune in to Night Vision Radio with René Barnett. René will be exposing the truth one secret at a time. When? Thursdays. Every Thursday, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. Where? Right here on IRN.
You're locked into Inception Radio Network, Superior, Wisconsin.
And we're back. Thanks so much for joining us tonight on Night Vision Radio. We've had a really hot discussion going on in the chat room, and we'd love to invite you there if you're listening but not joining into the chat room. Tonight and every Thursday night, we have a great group of people in there every single week. And we were just, MJ, the producer, and I were just talking about it on the break. And we said, these guys are on it. You know, you can't be a slouch around here because these guys will catch you. You know, they know their stuff. So join our chat room. It's really interesting. And you can find that at InceptionRadioNetwork.com. So, all right, we are back, and we're back with Char McCain. Char, we wanted to first remind people that they can find you on Facebook under your name, and also your radio show, which is called The Paranormal and the Sacred. You got a Facebook page. Check that out. She'll has news about her show and other items of interest. And, like her page too, because that helps us all out. Anyhow, well, did you want to hit on anything during this last half hour, Char, that we haven't gotten
Yeah,
into?
I did see something in chat. Somebody was, hitting on a couple things that are really interesting and talking about animals and shapeshifters and stuff like that.
I saw that. And I was thinking that too, because I was thinking about what you were saying about the appearance. You knew they were looking different. And it reminded me of shapeshifters. And it reminded me of, a lot of the stories. I grew up in Oklahoma, in Native America. And we had lots of stories growing up about shapeshifters. And I was wondering too, when I saw that, what were your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, I have a real kinship with animals, and I've had some really, spiritual experiences. My animals lived to be really old age. My dog lived to be 19, but I think that she got into some rat poison or something like that because she really wasn't sick ever until that last day of her life. So I think she actually got poisoned. But anyway, I had a little finch, a zebra finch. They're supposed to live between 6 and 8 years. He lived to be 16. And it's just very odd, but I also have had birds come out of the trees and land on my head, and birds that have been in accidents that come to me, and so they don't have to die alone. You know, just very odd. I don't know, I can understand the bird language, but there's also been these things, shapeshifters, and I had a very odd experience, and one of my most current alien, let's say, experience, but the one I want to talk to you about is that I was interviewing Linda Godfrey. Now, she's really into cryptozoology, and she's written many books, 15 books. She's fabulous on anything monsterish, you know, so it could be anything. But there was something odd that happened to me. I woke up one night, and so since I have all this UFO things going, psychic stuff going, and then sometimes people come to me before they pass to tell me they're going to pass, and after they pass. Like a lot of odd different things going on. This time, I woke up and I was laying on my side towards the hallway. I have a real small place. My dog was sitting upright, very alert at the edge of the bed where my feet were. I looked at the hall, and there was a huge black wolf standing there. I mean, he was so big, he took up the whole hall, long fur, like a mane, but he was big, black, shaggy wolf. When I woke up, it's because my dog woke me up, and I looked at him. He looked at her like, you woke her up. And the only thing a good person that's used to being abducted can do is just grab your dog and hide under the blankets. And that's what I did. I grabbed her. I put the blankets over us, and I just hid there waiting for, I'm going to die because there's a wolf in my house. And we were out, and she never moved, and I never moved for like 3 hours. We were just out. So that happened a month before I was going to interview Linda Godfrey. And then when she was talking about these wolves and dog men of Michigan and stuff like that, I became aware, wait a minute. I said, do these wolves seem to be very intelligent, and they're kind of like, I'm the king of the world and I can do whatever I want, you know, and they have intelligence. And she said, well, yes, people are saying that these aren't men that are turning into wolves. They're actually wolves that stand upright like men, and they're very smart. And I was going back to the way that wolf was standing there, and I told her the story about the wolf. It was the first time I ever talked about it. I said, there was a wolf in my house. He was huge, and she said, I've heard this before. I went, there's no way you would have heard this before. She says, yes, they're showing up in the middle of the afternoon in people's houses, like in the kitchen. Turn around, your wolf standing there. She says she doesn't know if this is an anomaly of a time and space or whatever, these just visitors visiting. Now, don't you think that's strange?
It is, but it kind of reminds me a bit of some of the stories I heard coming out of, what's commonly called Skinwalker Ranch out of Utah. We used to call it Sherman.
I've heard that over and over.
Sherman Ranch, about these sort of monster wolves, these gigantic wolves, and they seem to be possibly coming through an interdimensional portal or something like that. And I have heard these wolf stories. And then, of course, in Native American culture, there's a lot of wolf symbolism, and wolf is kind of a, respected animal. And, a lot of people identify, with an animal, and a lot of times it'll be the wolf. And so there is something kind of special about wolves, it seems.
Yeah, there is, and I don't know what that meant, but I also know that he was just visiting. I haven't seen him again, but it was weird that then I would talk to somebody that actually collaborated what I said. I mean, I can't believe that she wouldn't just say you're flat out nuts. She said, no, I've heard the exact same story before. And she doesn't, but she said that it could be interdimensional. And I'm going to tell you another thing. I want to tell you, I had a very odd thing happen to me one time because things that were only happening at night are now happening during the day. And I happened to be going up to a place in North Hollywood, and I stopped to use a Starbucks, and I wanted to go to the restroom. So I went to this bathroom, and when I went in, all it was a sink and like a mirrored hall. That was it. I went, where the heck is the bathroom? I said, we'll put like a disco room in here. You know what I mean? So I started to walk out, and I turned around and I looked at it again. I went, okay, I know there's a room here. So I'm going to stand. I swear to you, I was just talking to the air. I said, I'm going to stand here and wait till you turn back. And I crossed my arms, I stood there and I waited. And little by little, like I was looking through a two-way mirror, the room appeared. First it was, every Starbucks bathroom looks the same. You got a shelf on the right, the commode's on the left, there's another little shelf, there's a hand bar. All of it came back little by little. And I went, thank you. And it's crazy. So I was thinking, well, maybe I walked into a place that used to be something. No, this is something else. It's actually showing a different, dimension of something. I don't understand what I just told you, but that's what happened. How odd.
Wow, that is really, really strange. Now, you seem to, you said that you have this affinity for animals, or, animals seem to be drawn to you and that sort of thing. And I know that you're psychic. Have you ever done any work in that area with people's pets as a pet psychic or an animal communicator?
Well, usually, no, I haven't done anything like that intentionally, but animals will tell me stuff. And it's usually not good. So, I went over to my mother's house, and as soon as I walked in, the birds chirped to me, and I went, oh, my God, you're hungry? What's wrong? They were starving, and she had not filled up the cups. They were empty, and then she had a whole can of birdseed sitting right next to them. I just thought it was the saddest thing I ever saw. I said, Mom, why don't you feed them? She said, I heard them tell you. These birds told me if they were hungry. It was almost like a sad little trill from these little finches. And they told me. And I had a bird that would send me dreams when he wanted his water changed. He would tell me. In a dream, he'd send me a cloudy water dream. I'd wake up, sure enough, he wanted his water clean. Something, and I've had very strange thing. I didn't even know I was friends with this dog until it came to me. I was driving a Prospect, and I had an image of my daughter's chow in my mind, and it was in trouble, and it's actually needed water. So I called my daughter. I said, your chow needs water. Go bring water. She said, just dropped off water, Mom. They're okay. I said, they're not okay. I begged her, please go check on your animals. When she did, the poor dog had crawled into the house, and it was out of water. They had accidentally, it was a very hot day over in Inglewood, they had accidentally knocked over their water bowl. And so one died of exhaustion in the house. So they'll tell me, I don't know if they reach out to just somebody that's listening or what. So it's stuff like that. So I haven't gone for any random reason. They usually come to me for a very definite purpose. I try to help them.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting. Now, where do you go from here? I know you're still attending, getting together with people at Ciro and probably outside of Ciro that are having these same kind of experiences. But I know that you work, you have a job as a forensic counselor, and you work very interestingly with federal prisoners who are still in custody but transitioning back into the community. Now,
right.
What do you actually do? And do you feel like these kind of experiences and your psychic abilities come into play at all with your work?
Yeah, not because a lot of people, you would think they would be far out and everything, but they're pretty well established in the way they think. A lot of people aren't open-minded. They'll say, you really believe in UFO? Yeah, right. they're just very scoffing. And every now and then you get an enlightened soul that really needs to talk about some things, and then they'll talk about it. And there's a lot of haunted prisons. So they'll tell me, stories about things that have gone on in prisons, and it's very strange. But
have you run into anybody who was abducted out of prison by aliens? They might welcome that. Get me out of here.
The poor people, yeah. Somebody, I can't say whatever, but they were being abducted out of the prison and then sent back.
Wow.
Now, it's something that you would never think of unless you're on this topic like we're talking right now, because it's something I've never thought of.
Sure.
Yes,
I didn't mean necessarily the subject coming up in your counseling sessions, but what I was thinking is, because of the experiences that you've had, the things that you've gone through, it has to have changed who you are in some way. It has to have added something, to your whole life experience. And do you feel that because of the things that you've been through, that it helps you in your work, either with counseling prisoners or, helping someone who's having bad experiences?
Mm-hmm. I think I'm getting ready for my next life, which will be more of the same. But I think what it's done is I kind of compartmentalized everything, and I've had the people call me that I have a touch or a knowing or a shine, or a lot of many people have told me that, and so I don't try to inflict them with what I know. You see, because you don't want to scare people, because people get scared.
Well, I know.
If you're seeing more, yeah. So you have to really respect the person.
I hadn't really brought up, but I am going to touch on the subject a little bit. I know that you were shown by the ETs some sort of end of the world scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I don't know if you knew this. I mean, I know that we talked about it earlier today, and we were trying to figure out if we'd ever met long ago, because I was involved with Zero at its inception, and I was one of the founders with Yvonne Smith at the time, and Yvonne has stuck it out and carried it through, and she's still keeping it going. And this was more years ago than I'd like to admit to. But I remember at the time, I had this lifelong dream, which I always called my end of the world dream. And in it, I would be outdoors, and I would look up, and suddenly the sky would just be full of craft, of UFOs, like flying in formation, and different groups, like just armada of UFOs coming and coming. And so, just sort of as an experiment, when anyone would show up at Zero, I would just ask them, do you have an end of the world dream? And it was uncanny how many people, almost every person, said, yeah, it's like UFOs coming and coming. And I couldn't figure out, okay, is this the end of the world, or is this the end of the world and everything that as we know it? So can you tell me what the scenario was, or some of the scenarios? And you don't have to go into huge detail, whatever you're comfortable with telling. But did it have anything to do with like tons and tons of spaceships?
I have dreamt of that. Tons of all of them coming through, but kind of manifesting from the clouds that we will be watching. There would be, first you don't see them, and then all of a sudden they're there, and there would be hundreds of them at the same time. But it's usually when a lot of people are out on the lawn looking, almost like they've gathered for like a 4th of July thing. I've had many, many dreams of them coming on the ocean or coming on the shore. And also that connects with the end of the world scenario. But what my vision of it is they do show me everything going up in flames, but But I've also been shown how we're supposed to act at the end of the world, and we're not supposed to, act on our own behalf. We're supposed to help others. The end of the world is not for us personally. Let's put it that way. It's for your neighbor. So if they need help, go help them, and that's what's going to help you, not gathering more stuff, not hoarding more stuff.
Right.
What's
Hoarding
going to help
everything.
Don't hoard, because what's going to save you is saving them. And that's going to help you, because your fear is going to be the worst thing that you have to combat, is the fear and the horror, that things are over. And I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. I know people think it's the end of the world coming up, but I don't think so. I don't think I have dreamt it did happen in my lifetime, but I don't really think it is going to happen. That's just me. I think that, like a couple of days ago, I'm really upset about what's going on in the Middle East, and with that burning of that man and all that. That's the end of them when they burnt that guy like that, because they're just trying to horrify us more and more, and they're just thinking of ways of amusing themselves and horrifying the world, and I thought that's the end of them. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be over for them very soon. I've been thinking that for 3 days. So,
I hope that's
like
true.
That. It is. So they're going to be in the paths, because you can't tolerate this stuff for so long. They're going to take them all out.
It really, it boggles the imagination and boggles the mind to wonder how you see a lot of, or you hear a lot of stories about young people, becoming radicalized and heading, for Syria, or heading somewhere to join up with, ISIS, the Islamic State. And you think, why would that possibly be attractive to anyone? I'm not even going to dignify what they do with repeating exactly what they've done to people. We all know about it. It's horrible and horrifying. And they do it in such a public way. They videotape it and they put it on the internet, and, some news stations show it. And it's like, why would that be attractive to young people? I don't know. It would seem to me
they're
like
self-destructive, but they're like a very bad 2-year-old that happen to be big and with guns. They just want to take if I'm miserable, you're all going to be miserable. I've had very many odd experiences, and one time I unfortunately was hitchhiking. So this had to be the 70s. I was hitchhiking, and I as soon as I put my hand on the door of this car, I remember it was a white T-Bird. I knew I was in trouble. I don't know why I just didn't run then. But I got in that car anyway, even though I knew it was bad, but that's what I'm telling people, listen to your sixth sense. Do not override it. I don't override it anymore. But I used to override it when I was young, because no, people aren't like that. Well, yes, they are. So these guys took me, they were gonna possibly rape and kill me. They were definitely gonna try to rape me. But I remember I started praying to God, and my life flashed before my eyes, and I was praying that God help me out of this. And God did help me out of it. For some reason, some magic started happening, and this one guy took pity on me. Not both of them, but the one seemed to have power over the other one. So they stopped what they were doing and they let me go. But I asked them why. I was really scared, but it looked like they really were going to let me go, so they were driving me around. And I asked them why, and they said, because nobody cares about us, and we don't care about you. It's just that simple. So nobody cares about those young men, and they don't care about anybody, so you will feel my pain. You know what I'm saying? So they're sick. They're sick at heart.
Yeah, it's very sad, very sad. I don't know how we got onto this from alien abduction, but now,
it's the end of the world.
Yeah. When do you, you say you don't see this happening in our lifetime. I mean, and a lot of people say that it will. I mean, of course, we had the 2012 thing where everybody thought the world was going to end at the end of the Mayan calendar. and and we've had this happen before even in other centuries, that there's always been sort of doomsday cults and doomsday prophets, and everyone thinks it's going to happen in their lifetime. But you don't see that as a psychic.
No.
You don't
I
see that.
I think our world's going to end. One person, she kept bringing this up. I finally said, "Oh, woman," I said, "You're going to die. That's the end of your world. We don't all have to go with you. We don't have to all go at the same time." You know what I mean? So I don't know why they want to die and take everybody with them. I'm not going with you. But we all do have our end here, because we live out our span and then we're going, But,
yeah. And that may be at the heart of people feeling like the world's going to end in my lifetime. It's because, we are kind of egotistical beings, and we probably just can't imagine the world going on without us when we're gone. The world will keep right on spinning.
People. Usually they have, this whole little following, and then they're all going to go like lemmings over their thing together. You're going to die. We all are going to die. Our soul will live on. I do know that too.
Yeah.
I did have an experience that it was the end of my life. I had the dream about this about a month ago. And it was at the end, and then I was going down this path, and it was just like a plain hallway, and I was tired. And there was a guide there. He was saying, "Come on, let's go just a little further." And I went, "I'm really tired." And I was in pain and everything. It's the first time I dreamed that I was really expressing the pain that I felt. And then he said, "Just a little further." And I said, "Okay." So I kept going. And so I went around this corner, and there was heaven. So this guide, he looked like a tour guide. He could have been a zoo guide. I mean, he did not look like a big angel that I was expecting. He actually looked like, a guy in khakis. He told me which way to go. And then he turned around, he looked at me, he said, "Soon, but not now." So then I realized, I think I'm sick, and I went to the doctor and found out that I'm sick. That's how I found out that, hopefully they're only curious to take it out, so I'll have to have that parathyroid taken out. And I'll feel better, but it's all mysterious. So I think I'm a little bit in the other side for some reason right now because I'm sick. So I've had a lot of little experiences.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the best with that, of course, with your health. I can relate to those thyroid issues. I've dealt with those in the past. But anyhow, we're down to like the final minute of the show, if you can believe that. And you've been such a wonderful guest. And thank you so much for being kind enough to answer all the questions that we've all been throwing at you tonight. I tell you, I did not host this show alone tonight. I had a lot of help from the chat room, and I really appreciate it. They're always great. So I hope you guys, if you're out there listening and you didn't join us in the chat room, I hope you will next week. We'll have another great show planned for you. But for tonight, it looks like we're just about done. And I want to thank Charlene McCain for sharing with us her amazing and very, disturbing at times experiences. And also want to remind you that Charlene has her own radio show called The Paranormal and the Sacred, and you can find that on Facebook. So go over there and you'll find out how to get the show, and you can also see what Char is up to, what she's getting into currently. So I really thank you, Char, and I hope that you will come again.
I will. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been really special. And I do appreciate it very much. And it's good to talk about this stuff rather than just holding it in, because it's quite an amazing journey, I tell you.
Oh, it sounds incredible. So, thanks a lot for sharing it with us. I know a lot of people don't like to go public with a lot of their personal experiences. But I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you very much.
Hope you will agree to come back at some point.
Anytime.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot. I want to thank everybody for listening. Join us next week right here at 7:30 Pacific Time, 10:30 Eastern Time on Night Vision at www.inceptionradio.com.